Good Thursday morning to you all. Hopefully you guys are doing great. We've got another Watchmen update for you. We've got some big news items crossing the desk here today. Peace talks are completely over with Russia. That's pretty big news out there. And the next boot is ready to drop. We'll tell you how and how it will impact you. We've got the U.S. government being sued by President Trump for wrongful prosecution. That's going to be a big chunk of money, but he's saying he's going to donate it to charity. Pakistani Navy finds $1 billion worth of powders in a few boats off their coast. New Republican seat created in Congress. We'll talk about that, how it might shake things up. And Chinese fighter jets harassing Australian military aircraft. We got that and a whole lot more. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over. If you have something to share, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That does get it to the right place. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. A lot of you guys have heard about them a lot over the last number of months or years. And maybe you just have some questions that you'd like to get answered about them. How can it be physical and yet not in your actual hands? Well, IRAs and 401ks have some rules specific to them. And the best people to answer those questions are Genesis Gold. So I'm going to put their link down below in the pinned comment down below. If you want to just call them with just a question, that's fine. If you don't want to give them all your information for them to come after you or whatever, and you just want to ask them a question, go for it. Just make sure you mention this channel. So if you do decide to move forward with them, they do waive your setup fee. They do that for people in this audience. There'll also be a link at the end of the video. All right, peace talks with Russia are now canceled after Putin was not, quote, forthright and honest with President Trump and Secretary of State Rubio. This is a pretty big deal. President Trump seemed to be like saying that he could deal directly with Putin and that they could get along, that they could hammer out a peace deal. President Trump now doesn't seem to think that that's possible. Major U.S. sanctions have now been announced. Part of this, basically, since there's no peace, now it's going to be just financial and economic war and war through the Eastern European countries there. Well, we're going to sanction Russian oil companies to a length that we have not yet so far. Basically, we've been treating the oil companies with kid gloves because the Europeans' economies would absolutely collapse if Russian oil was banned and Russian gas was banned. Well, Europe is more and more on board with that. And not only that, but so is India. India seems to be on board with this too. President Trump's been talking a lot with Prime Minister Modi over there in India and getting them on board with not purchasing as much oil and natural gas from Russia. This has already impacted oil prices out there. So with oil prices up, that means gas prices are going to be going up at your gas stations. So be aware of that. We'll see how long this price spike continues. All right, North Carolina has finalized a Trump-backed redistricting plan that allows that adds another Republican seat to the House of Representatives. Now, of course, it doesn't just pop up or spring up from nowhere. It's a Democratic seat disappearing and a Republican seat appearing. So that's pretty big news out there. We got a bunch of Republican states are fed up with Democratic states redistricting and basically redistricting out all the Republicans. And they're just following suit and doing the same thing back to the Democrats. And that's equity, at least, right? We like that word, don't we, in America these days? Equity. It's equitable. All right, SpaceX has cut off 2,500 Starlink devices in Myanmar. That's Burma for you guys. They're scam centers. So apparently big business over in Burma was having scam centers and running them off Starlink. 2,500 of them. So apparently pretty big business if they can afford that. They definitely were employing a lot of scammers. China has raised a stern protest with Australia after a mid-air incident. Now, Australia said that its Poseidon surveillance aircraft was approached by a Chinese fighter jet during a Sunday patrol in the disputed South China Sea. And the Chinese jet then launched flares in, quote, close proximity to the Australian aircraft, endangering the crew on board. Flares are not harmless. They can get sucked into engines and cause, just think of a bird strike, except if the bird's on fire. And that gives you a little bit of an idea. Flares are not harmless. Something could go wrong with them, okay? President Trump saying that he wants $230 million in a settlement because he is suing the Department of Justice for investigating him. He wants the Department of Justice to pay it up. He said, though, any money that I would get, I would give to charity. He says, I guess they probably owe me a lot of money for falsely investigating him, even though the evidence clearly showed that he was innocent. They continued to try to prosecute him and to harass him and to surveil him, as well as his other political allies also being surveilled. The lack of privacy, the attacks on his name, the federal government has defamed him and has intentionally gone after him. And they did so under the previous administration and even under his own administration before. All right, a Pakistani Navy ship has seized drugs worth $1 billion in the Arabian Sea. Now, it's not news when the Pakistanis do it, it's just news when the United States does it, apparently. But two vessels were sailing through the Arabian Sea, and they found $1 billion worth of strong stuff, and they seized it with, in conjunction with Saudi Arabia as well. All right, we got the shutdown continuing across the United States and across the world. U.S. military forces not being paid unless President Trump coughs up the money somehow, which he has said he's going to do, him with other people, private entities and such. But Germany has stepped up and said that they will pay the local military staff inside their country. They'll pay their salaries temporarily. They're going to cover the U.S. salaries of all the U.S. military personnel inside Germany. So it's just, it's about these rich other countries paying their fair share. I mean, if we have troops there to defend Germany from big bad Russia or whoever else, it does seem kind of fair to request that they at least pay the salaries of the soldiers, that we're not making them pay for all the hardware, all the equipment, but we should at least ask them to pay for the salaries of the soldiers that are there to protect them. I don't know. That seems fair to me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. If you have an update, make sure you use the word update, though. Jeff says, Utah, many years, our Tuesday routine was a coupon for a Chinese buffet lunch, then a thrift store, and then a $1 movie. The buffet closed, of course. Thrift store is now very expensive. We've all seen that, right? And the theater, the $1 theater closed. No more budget theaters out there, apparently. Went to a new fast food place, and no one spoke any English here. That's in Utah. When did the United States become a country where people don't speak English? My mom was just talking about, am I allowed to talk about my mom? Went to a store to get some stuff done with her phone, and the person helping her at the store didn't speak any English and was using Google Translate to translate for her, which was not a great customer service experience for my mom, who does not speak Spanish, right? Log Cutter says no milk in the Clermont, Florida Walmart. Colorado Pack Rat Prepper says, I ordered 2 Maxwell House 48-ounce coffees at $24.50 each in a week. It has gone up to $29.50 each. And I haven't even received my order yet, scheduled to go out October 30th. Already the price is going up, and it hasn't even been shipped yet. You just watch. What Amazon likes to do is they like to cancel those orders and then force you to rebuy it at the higher rates. Yeah, shadiness everywhere you go about it. Integrity seems to be just gone. absent. Jim says local Walmart in the next town, or even the truck has been after the truck has been put out, it's still full of empty shelves. So they have the truckloads come in, and you'd think that would fill up the shelves, but no, it's not filling up the shelves. It's just still empty. I'm hearing a bunch of reports like that, seeing a lot of empty shelves out there, whether it's supply chain issues or whether it's wider actual issues. That's what we're hearing out there. Michelisi says Northwest Pennsylvania trip to Walmart yesterday. Eggs now $2.97 a dozen. That's up, friends. We've seen the prices going up. 8-ounce block cheese went from $1.78 to $1.97, a little smaller of a jump, but still significant. The 2-pack cream cheese used to save you a few cents over buying them individually, but yesterday it was cheaper to buy 2 individual packs. So don't assume those things. McDonald's got into a whole bunch of trouble years back because if you buy the value meal of the items, it was actually more expensive than if you buy the items individually. And most people don't do the math, and they just kind of assume that the value menu will save you money, when in fact it wasn't. It was just overcharging you based on convenience. In the tin foil aisle, 2 older women were talking about the price of a roll of tin foil. It was $14. Over at the lettuce bin, the heads were even smaller than last week with rust, and the price was up from $2.19 to $2.58. Prices on produce are going up. The quality is going down. That's what we're hearing from a lot of you guys all across the United States. Celery, $1.97, but the bunch was so small that I thought it was just hearts. I finally found a more normal sized bunch, but there is something going on with celery. If it is this bad now, I can't imagine what it will be like in January or for Thanksgiving, right? Think about that. Ralph says Indiana, Pennsylvania here, which is in Pennsylvania. For some reason, somebody named an area of Pennsylvania, Indiana, because that's not confusing at all. Anyway, I can confirm an issue with Pepto-Bismol. We talked about that, Pepto-Bismol and bismuth tablets disappearing out there for some reason, not sure why. But Ralph says, tried Walmart and Amazon, none of them were available. Also a little concerned with the rounding up of the money. We talked about this. A bunch of places are getting rid of the penny, and they're starting to round up the nickels or round down the nickels. But Ralph says, if there is issues with the counting change, back change, I don't get the warm and fuzzies with someone trying to round up and down, especially here in a college town. I think that's kind of mean for you to imply that they don't know how to round, but it may not be completely unfair, right? Sad to say. Is that involved? Does that get covered in Common Core? I don't know. Common Core math may have them do it out on paper. MDK says they are closing homeless shelters here in our area, and food banks are now 1 to 2 times a month. So food banks giving out food less often to more people, and there's less food banks and homeless shelters. Upper Ohio River Valley in eastern Ohio. So sad. We do have blessing boxes to help, but they become wiped out very quickly. Yeah, blessing boxes can fill a quick need, but oftentimes they can't really plug the hole that homeless shelter, because a lot of people really don't understand how homeless shelters work, especially like missions-based or Christian-based homeless shelters. You bring them in for the night, but then what you do is you then get them into a program where they start getting an address, they get their driver's license, they go through this program where they get back up on their feet and get an email address, get their resume put together. They go through training programs potentially for work, and then they get placed in a job, and then they get slowly moved out of the homeless shelter into an apartment, and then they can get sent off on their feet again, right? Homeless shelters do tremendous amount of work and tremendously important work getting people back up on their feet. And they usually have very strict no pharmaceutical policies, right? Because you need to abide by the rules and you need to actually be part of the program. So these homeless shelters shutting down is truly a blow to our society as a whole. She Can Homestead says, we stopped at a QT gas station in Canton, Georgia on Monday. While checking out, I asked them about the penny, which I had heard about here. They hadn't been told anything about not stocking pennies in their registers or any coming changes, wondering if some places or stores are just preempting the inevitable. Rain says, our Walmart here in northeastern Wisconsin takes the dented cans and puts it on some separate shelves and puts some clearance prices on them. So they don't just donate the dented cans, they sell them at a discounted price, which is really, I think, probably the better thing to do with them, right? Solotap says, Central Wisconsin, I called the propane companies in the area to purchase a new or used underground tank. I have 2 above ground 500-gallon tanks already filled for this year, but for prepping purposes, I never like to flaunt what I have. If it can be seen, it can be taken. That's the quote they're saying. The cost difference was outstanding. One used above ground tank, 500-gallon, used to cost me $2,100. A new one underground, a new one is $3,200 for above ground. One company found me a used, recovered, certified underground 3,000 gallon tank from a shutdown business for $2,900. The overall cost by switching over to the bigger tank and digging it in to the ground will cost me just over $4,000. That's before I transfer the gas to the main tank and sell the smaller above ground tanks. So if you have smaller above ground tanks, you might be able to sell them to buy an in-ground certified in-ground larger tank. So that's something to keep in your thoughts there, right? What's next says, you warned us of things to come and I've been preparing accordingly. Just bought a small hydroponics garden cube growing system to grow my own veggies and fruits. Just got tired of lettuce and others going bad so soon, and I like my salads. People, please listen to Steve and prepare yourselves accordingly. Things are escalating everywhere. Pray and prep. I'm going to throw out one other thing. If you're looking at aquaponics, if you're looking at growing food indoors, look at the Kratky method. That is something that's interesting. Basically what you do is you fill it up with the nutrient and the water, and then basically you let the roots of the plants drain it itself. So you don't need a pump. You don't need to keep refilling and balancing the nutrients and stuff like that, because it consumes all of the nutrients and water by the end of the growth cycle. So Kratky method, it's Kratky or something like that. Kratky method, check that out. It's much more simple. You don't really need like expensive stuff. You can use like totes, and you do need to buy the little baskets, but other than that, you don't really need anything else. And you just need the nutrients to put in there. So check into that, especially if you're trying to grow lettuce. I've heard that works real well for lettuce and other above ground vegetables or whatever. So, all right, friends, thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold, check out the pinned comment down below, or there's a link right there on the screen. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.